Okay, this is a quick tour of my castle I built here in Vanilla World. It actually was originally based loosely on several different historical castle plans, especially one called a square keep, though I have deviated from it quite a bit since then. And so herein we go through the Barbican, through the gatehouse with the towers, to cross the drawbridge, and into the castle. I did go ahead and put in arrow slits. Even though this is not a PvP server, I put in those as though I was actually going to defend it. Not that you really could defend a castle in that way too well in Minecraft, since someone could just dig underneath. The first building we're entering is the banquet hall, the grand banquet hall. Um, the idea here is that during the day it acts as a mess hall for all the troops that might be stationed here at the castle. And then at night, or on special occasions, it acts as a grand feasting banquet hall and ballroom, which is why I have the dance floor over there. I have some nice chandeliers as well for the special occasions. And I even have a complete bandstand made of note blocks. Some other players were here earlier and they left some doors open. I don't really like doors left open a whole lot because I don't want creeps in my buildings. So you actually can sort of play music, even though it's kind of a joke on a server. It's impossible to really have rhythm, obviously, with lag and so on, but it's set up where, in theory, you could play music. And, of course, you have your tables, and you have a dance floor, so it can be a ballroom. Close the doors. Oops. Gotta close those doors. Can't criticize other people for leaving doors open if I do the same thing myself, can I? Close. Little tricky sometimes when you have the F1 key pressed to target the door. This is a garden slash park I made. A nice side of scenic garden. Has its own picnic table and park benches. Nice pretty place to look at, and of course a fountain. Every good Minecraft castle probably should have a fountain, right? And here we have the farm areas, complete with a farm shed where I keep some agricultural tools. So I grow all my crops and raise my animals here. And over in the distance on the other side is my tree farm. I've passed my sheep. I have every color of sheep. And over here are the stables. Kind of missing horses. But I do have a couple pigs. Hopefully they'll get along with the horses in the near future. I don't seem to have any saddles. I could have swore I had some saddles, but maybe I left them at a previous home because I wasn't really riding pigs at the time. That would be a silly thing to do, but I may have just left my saddles behind. But there's the barn, and all it needs to be completed is 1.6. Here is the dock house and the docks. I've got some boats ready to go if I want to go out in a boat. And I have iron doors in my dock house, just like I have iron doors for a gate at the beginning. Again, pretending that this is actually fortified against some kind of enemy. Have a strong doors at those that lead to the outside. Over here is my heated pool or bath house. It is miniaturized but based loosely on Roman bathhouses, and it is heated, so you can come here and take a warm bath or a nice warm swim. And of course I have a nice skylight so you can see the sky and get some nice daylight during the day. There's where I keep my nether portal. I'm not really going to go through that now because the nether fortress on the other side is not part of my house. And I also have a little noob shack that I lived in while building this, and I kept it around. It's supposedly the groundskeeper's house now, and my mine is also next to it. I was going to do slightly taller and thicker walls with passages and walkways on top. But that was getting complicated with the way I had to redesign everything to fit this island I ended up building it on. And I was actually, to be quite honest, getting a little tired of castle building. I was ready to move on to doing other parts of the game, at least for now. This is a barracks. The top floor where I am now is supposed to be for the archers. The bottom floor would be for the men-at-arms, so that would be where the commoner soldiers would live. And I cut out the part where I killed the creeper, because it's kind of hard to do that with, to get a good targeting when you have F1 pressed. Basically, the two floors are the same except for the roof. Just lots of beds. It's basically just a barracks. Lots of beds and chests for the imaginary people who live there. And now for the keep, which has most of the interesting stuff in it. It's got its own little gatehouse and moat. I keep those gates closed to keep the villagers safe inside, because I do have a few villagers. And I think they're safer in there than outside. There are a lot more zombies outside. There's the base of a round tower. There's my castle guard. Here's my library. I made more of a library instead of just your basic enchanting room. So here is the library with 2 stories worth of books, and you can climb around here to get your book. There's a map of the whole castle. When I first planned this, it was going to just be a big square keep. There's my chest room. But I started on it earlier, and it got abandoned, and that world got erased. But at the time, I had a guy named Death Reddish working with me, and Death Reddish started adding this tower, but it was round on the inside and square on the outside, so I just made a bigger, rounder one. But I kept the tower idea, because I liked the idea of having the one taller, differently shaped area that made it look a little less boxy. Okay, this is my chapel. I decided to build a chapel because real castles did have them, and it also gave me an excuse to build something I wouldn't normally build. So this is supposed to be the Chapel of St. Notch, complete with representations of all the tools, except the hoe. And here is another dining room. This is the dining room for those who actually live in the keep, complete with a kitchen. You need a kitchen for all this. Ooh, I'm not going to be eating that cake. Bad villager. Get off the cake. But there's a kitchen. The next 2 stories are half stories, and they were really only added in order to drop the floors on some of the parts of the story below, because they didn't all need to be as tall as the chapel that needed its cathedral ceiling. But these are bathrooms. So you have a run room for steeds, and over here is the room for Stephanie. So those are the public bathrooms. And the other room back there is storage. And this next floor that we're coming to is also extra storage rooms in case I need them. Hey, get back to the library. I don't know if I will, but, well, again, it's something castles had, and I just needed to drop the ceiling so I have those floors. These are knights' quarters. Unlike the commoners in the barracks, each of the dozen knights that supposedly live here has their own little apartment. And then there are 2 extra apartments that are for lead knights, or generals, you might call them. So they're a little bit bigger. They have a 2-room design. Have a few extra things in them. And the knights have a little room with a table in case they want to have snacks or play games or whatever you want to imagine the knights doing on their spare time. And up here is the royal chambers, or basically this level is my house. Got a nice hallway, Have a nice dining room just for the royal family. Nice private dining room. Nice fireplace. Got a stereo. This would be a war room and meeting room where I could hold council with nobles or generals or whatever. And here's my executive office to do all the ruling, because obviously I rule, right? Got a nice little desk set up. And out to the other end of the hall. Of course, this floor has a private bathroom, complete with a private bath. And here's the room for the princess to live in. So there's the princess's bedroom, and right next to it we have, of course, the prince's room. Okay, maybe this is a little bit sexist, but you know, there's the prince's room, and the other pink one was the princess's room. And then, of course, my bedroom. With my nice king-sized bed. And my own closet. And finally the roof. I have my big giant torch on the roof and a nice sort of pavilion. 3 small sub-towers and then the big round tower. You can go up here into this lookout tower. But if you really want to go up high, there's the big tower. The rooms in the big tower are all empty. There's a good chance they'll stay that way. I'm not really doing anything with them. They're just there as part of the tower. And up we go. And this also bypasses the... If you go on down, it bypasses all the other rooms. This is sort of, or the other stories in the keep straight to the bottom. So this is supposed to also be an alternate way to the roof. Someone could get to the roof or all the way up here without having to pass through, say, the royal chambers. And up we go to the highest floor in the castle. And that concludes the tour. Hope you liked it.